Hello, everyone, as well. So, before we begin, some information for live captions and translation. Please scan the QR code on your screen. We will also have at the end question and answer. So, please send all your questions throughout the presentation. The QR code will also appear at the end. And during the workshops, we run two live questions for an exclusive accessory. So, don't forget to answer the poll in the chat and QR code when it appears. And as a reminder, all rewards will be sent after all workshops are completed in August. So now I'll hand it off to Camila and Morniratu to talk about your first hour on Roblox Studio. Feel free to start, guys.
Hello, everyone. I am Morniratu. I am a 3D artist here in Roblox. I specialize mostly in medieval stuff, and today I will be showcasing you all how we can improve our Roblox building and make something a bit more prettier like this that I'm showing. We'll go through some steps, but first, let's also hear about Camila.
Hello, everyone. I'm so hyped to be here. I'm here to show a little bit about what we've created to teach more about Roblox Studio for Brazilians and now for more people in the world. So I'm a programmer and I work with development and education more than 12 years. So yes, I'm getting old, Jonathan, and I'm happy to share these next few minutes and a few hours, an hour, right? With you learning more about Roblox Studio.
Yeah, perfect. So let's get straight into it, shall we? How is everyone doing? Are you guys enjoying Inspire? I'm really enjoying it so far. And as I said, I'm going to teach you guys how we can achieve a better looking and an easier workflow inside of Studio. So I will be showcasing you guys how I've created this small showcase, and we are going to improve this a little bit, okay? So I assume most of you guys already know about how to build on Roblox using like parts and stuff like that. But today I want to improve the game for you all and introduce some other stuff that will help your experience look a lot nicer, a lot better, okay? So I will switch to my small asset place here that I have, and I want to talk to you guys about something called meshes. I'm sure some of you guys already know about it, but meshes are just like regular parts. We can rotate, we can move them, but they have a bit of better things to them because it allows us to have much more complex shapes and also some more custom textures. So I want to show you guys some of the things we can do with meshes. So everything that we see here, they are built with meshes. So we have like round stuff, we have a bunch of really detailed things that we are not really able to achieve with just parts, right? And this is really important because this is how we can achieve something that's much more impressive, right? If we go back to my experience here, we can see things like this. Rocks here, they are really complex. It would be really hard to achieve something like this with just regular parts, okay? And so why it is important for us to use meshes? Well, as I said, it gives us some complex shapes and textures, and we can work with them just like regular old parts, right? So what I have here is some assets that I've imported from my other asset places. And with this, I'm able to create a bunch of other structures and use them just like parts. So just to prove to you guys, I'm gonna select some of them here and I'm going to move them around, and we can see that we can easily move them and we can rotate them to give them more complex things, right? Can also change the colors with surface appearance. And the surface appearance is what gives us this unique texture, right? We are able to use PBR textures, which is basically giving more details to our meshes, to our texture. So we can see that we have some parts here that have like different roughness, right? You can see over here that it shines differently than the rest of the textures. We also have normal maps that gives us like some details like depth to our meshes, okay? And this is all done through PBR surface appearance, mostly outside of Studio. So most people basically use Blender and Substance Painter for that, but it's really cool. We can also change the color of our texture. So let's say we want to make something really, really black here, like some burnt wood or something like that. We can do by changing colors. We can also make just little different tone of wood. And with that, we can combine with the knowledge we already have about basically moving and resizing and doing a bunch of stuff to our parts. And by combining everything, we can reach some really nice buildings like this one. We can see that everything here is like basically separate parts, right? And I've just used them to create everything that I need. How does that sound, guys? It's really cool, right? Also, going back to my main experience here, this is what I will be showcasing most, and I want to teach you guys how we can turn this already kind of good-looking experience into something much more beautiful by introducing manipulation of terrain, lighting, and a bunch of other stuff to really make your experience pop, okay? And so the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is basically the terrain. We can see here that we have this beautiful grass here, and this is done through terrain. I know some people don't really enjoy music terrain for a bunch of different reasons, but I enjoy it to make smaller details. So we can see here that we have this small slope here, this small elevation. Some people prefer to do this with meshes, but honestly, I just prefer to use terrain, and I will show you guys why. Over here, we can select the terrain, and here we have a bunch of tools, okay? What I want to teach you guys mostly is basically sculpt, which allows us to basically add or remove terrain from our world, right? So here I have a nice example. I have this house here, but we can see that it's like dig into the ground, so we have to remove some of the terrain. We can go here to sculpt, subtract, and we can change vectors here, and we can start to lower the ground and show more of the terrain, right? We can make it fit our world better. And with this, we can have a much more living world, right? With some more terrain details, and we can make small like hills and things like that. And this is really good to make small variations on your map. But I honestly just use it for these small variations, right? Whenever I want to do something more complex, like this hills here, I just go back to a mesh like the ones we have over here. And it's really easy to do. It looks kind of complicated, but I basically have these two meshes here, and they are replicated. And the amount of data we have in them makes them not seem like the same asset. So if we like resize and we duplicate and we start to move and rotate and change things about them, we can start to make something that looks very realistic, right? With this, we can create some kind of mountain range, things like that. Here, I'm just going to create something really simple. And with this, we can create a world that feels more realistic, right? Just plain realism, really nice meshes, really nice textures. And we can start to shape our world like this, right? So this is the importance of meshes versus terrain. The terrain is also really nice because it offers us a bunch of different materials, right? So here I have everything as just this plain grass, which it is kind of cool, but we can also start to paint some stuff. So here on the paint tool, we have all these materials here. I'm gonna select ground and I can just start to paint everything. And with this, we can start to create some small variations. Perhaps we want to remove some of this grass here in this forest area. And perhaps we also want to create a path towards this small lake here. And we can do all of that using just the painting. I just paint some of the water here, so we can go ahead and paint the water again. But with this, we can start to create some small variations and adding details above that, okay? Now, the terrain is also really nice because it allows us to import some custom textures as well. So if you are like texture artist, we don't need to use this grass texture, we don't need to use these mud textures. We can create our own variants over here at the material manager. Here we can just select something and upload the albedo, the metalness, normal, everything we can possibly imagine for textures. We can add them here. Now, hello, thank you. Okay, perfect. And also the materials, the terrain is also really nice because it allows us to change the colors really simple, just like any other textures. So if we come here close to this area, we see that the grass we have in this mesh is not really the same color as the grass we have here. So what we can do is go through terrain, and over here in the properties, we have material colors, right? And here we can change the color of the grass to something a bit more darker. And with this, we can start to blend our world much nicer, right? This looks a lot more like the texture that I'm using here. And of course, we can always fine tune it to make it look more and more familiar. But since we have not that much time here, I'm going to leave it just as this is and basically use it like that. And we can also change the color of basically any material we want, right? So here, if I want to insert some cobblestone here, or maybe perhaps some rock here, we can see that the rock is already a nice color, similar to what the color of the rocks we have here. But again, we can also come here to the rock and change it to be a bit more red, something more similar to the rocks we have here, and really start to shape our world using terrains and materials like that. All right. Now, we have a beautiful world, we have nice meshes, we have nice terrain, but the world is still looking pretty like, I don't know, bland. So what I want to do is to create some ambience, right? We want to have something that really draws the player in. And most of the times we can do that just by using our lightning. So over here in the lightning, we also have a bunch of properties. This, honestly, guys, is one of the most important panels that we have in Roblox. This is how we change a bunch of things. We change colors, sizes. Also, it's basically what we use for programming, for scripting, right? We're going to change properties of a bunch of stuff. So pay attention to the property panels. Whenever you have something selected, it's going to change what properties can be changed depending on what we have selected here. So for the lightning, what I wanted to show you guys is basically how we can turn this pretty normal looking place into something much more medievalish, right? So first thing we can do perhaps is changing the time of day, right? I want perhaps something like a sunset, something really moody. So over here we can change the clock time and change it to perhaps 17.3, 0.4, 0.5. I think 0.5 works. The sun is changing positions, if you guys see. 17.5, I think it works. It gives this sunset vibe, but the colors, they're still not right. Correct? So we need to make lighting more sunset-ish. And whenever I look at like this pretty sunset pictures, it's always like this like orange thing, something really, really weird. And not actually weird, but something like really orange, right? So what we need to do is to change our ambient lighting, okay? And through this, we can give the ambient lighting, of course, as the name suggests, and we can start to have some more orange colors over here, right? And together, we need to change the outdoor ambient. This ambient thing mainly changes quote unquote shadows, while the outdoor ambient changes the lighting itself. So over here, we can see that I'm starting to change it to orange, and it's already starting to look like a sunset, right? We also can change some of the ambient here, perhaps something a bit more bluish or like this, something like that. This looks better for me, okay? Also, the sunset is a bit darker, right? The sun is already starting to set, so we can change the brightness to something perhaps 0.3, and the sun will start to be a bit different, right? Another thing that we can do, I'm sure you guys sometimes saw experience that has like this fog thing, something that kind of, well, just fog. I don't know what to say. But we can use this by adding a sky and an atmosphere, and the atmosphere already changes everything about our experience, right? It adds this fog thing, so it's really nice to give this really nice ambient. And we can start to see that the mountains in the back here, they're starting to fade away, right? Before we can clearly see that this is like some models really just nearby. But when we add the atmosphere, we can start to have some depth, and this starts to look like a mountain range really far away or something like that. And here we can also start to change the density of this fog. So we can make it really, really dense and start to look like something, I don't know, maybe terror or something like that. I don't want it. I want to bring this a bit further down. So I think this works perfectly fine. We can also change the colors here. So we can add some glare and haze. And the haze is this thing here in the background that we can see showing up. And the glare is like the brightness of this thing. I don't know how to explain it properly. You have to play with it to understand how it works. Okay. For the color here, we can have something more orangish as well, and decay something more orangey as well. And the offset, we can have it just this. And it's still pretty bright, so I think I want to lower the clock time a little, so perhaps 17.8. Yeah, like this. I think this is what I want. And this is starting to get really, really more vibey, right? It gives some more ambience to a work. So I think it's time for us to have a little pause here and go to our first question. So some of you guys were asking about it. So the production is putting up the first QR code for the live questions here in the screen to you guys. You can scan this via QR code and answer it. It's something that I've already talked to you guys about. So be sure to get it correctly, and I'll leave some time to you guys fill it. Okay. How are you guys? How are you guys enjoying it? Did you guys enjoy Inspire so far? I think it's not getting. Oh, there we go. It is right here, just to my left on the bottom of the screen. So yep, go ahead, scan that. It's really simple. I'm talking about meshes there. So if you guys pay attention to the mesh part, you guys will be able to understand what I was trying to convey here through the live challenge. So I'll leave some time to you guys to reply to it. Really simple, really nice. Okay. W Lightning, yes. Hi. Oh my God, the chat just updated. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I see some of you guys are getting correctly. Okay. Perfect. Nice. Do you think that's enough time? What do you say, chat? Do you guys want some more time? I think that's enough, right? It's a pretty easy question. Yeah, I think we can move further, right? Okay, perfect. We can move further. So now we've created this beautiful word. We created this thing here, but it's very, very static, right? We need something to make it a bit more beautiful, more living, right? So we can do that via scripting. I will go back to this thing here that I had, my asset place, and I wanted to start to introduce you guys to scripting a little. So what I want to do is to basically have this torch here and add a fire to it and have the player interact with it. And whenever they interact with it, the fire turns on and the fire turns off. And we can do that via scripting. Now, scripting can be a bit tricky to understand. I will not try to explain everything about scripting. I will try to convey to you guys the basic of it. And with that, you can keep learning and understanding how it works, but just the basics of it will be able to get you guys through it, okay? So the script is basically a series of orders that we give to Roblox to make something happen, right? So we basically say, hey, Roblox, whenever someone does this, please makes this changes to this object. And this is exactly what we're going to do. So first of all, I'm going to add a fire here. So the fire, oh, it's a bit big, right? Let's make it like this. Okay, I will not make the fire on top of it because we're short on time. I just want to introduce to you guys the concept of how we can do this work properly, okay? So here we have the fire, and we also want to insert a script. And this is basically where the magic happens, right? Roblox works in Lua, so you guys will have to learn Lua to understand how scripting works. And I'm going to give this really, really basic introduction. So what we need to do is to have something be interactable. So the most basic stuff is just to add a proximity prompt. So here the proximity prompt is basically that thing that whenever you get close to it, it says, hey, press E to do something. And then this is what will trigger whatever we are trying to do. But first, we need to tell the script where all of that stuff is, okay? So basically, I'm going to say script, local proximity equals script dot parent dot proximity prompt. Now, what this does, it's basically saying, hey, whenever I say proximity, I'm trying to talk about this. And this is basically the location of something, right? So script is basically where the script is, and it's telling, hey, I want to get the parent of the script. So it goes to the burn torch, and then from the burn torch, we want to go to the proximity prompt, which is this thing that we just inserted, right? Now we also need to tell the script where the fire is. So local fire equals script dot parent dot fire. And this is basically saying, hey, whenever I say fire, I'm talking about the script, about the parent, about the fire. So now we need something to actually change, right? And here in fire, we have this property here called enabled. And whenever I click it, the fire goes on or off. So whenever this is checked, the fire is on. Whenever this is off, the fire is off. So what we need to do is basically say, hey, the proximity, whenever it is triggered, it is going to connect to a function. And this function is basically here, the studio is already telling me, is basically going to say, hey, the fire enabled should be true. Okay. And yep, this is basically how it should work. There's some kind of mistake here. I'm not sure what it is, but let's test it and see whatever is happening here. So we can hit play. And I should have done this next to the torch, but here are the torches. You see that I have forgot to anchor a bunch of stuff. So make sure to anchor your things. Let's interact here. And oh, the fire is not working. Why is that? Let's see. We can go here to the plugin, to the script tab, and we can see output. And here it would be here. It's saying that I forgot something here, right? So I should add something. And this is how we basically can see how a script is working or not. So here it is basically saying, oh, I'm in test mode. I should stop that. And here what it's saying is that I should add this here. And this should fix everything because it was expecting me to have this thing here. I don't know what this does. I just know that the script wants it. And now if we hit play, the mistake should not happen again. So let's go to the torch again and see if it works right now. It should work if my basic scripting knowledge works. So here we go. It now turns on, right? And this is basically what scripting is. It is a series of informations of what should happen whenever we do something, okay? So for more complex stuff like opening doors, like NPCs walking around, it's basically the same. We say, hey, Roblox, whenever something is triggered, please do this, to that part, and a bunch of complex stuff that honestly, you just have to understand it. I'm not really going that further into script, but here in Spire, we're going to have a bunch of other scripting workshops going to help us a lot, right? So this is how we can use scripting to make our world feel alive. So we can imagine that if we have like a script here to open the door and perhaps some torches along the way that the player can light up, it's going to make the world feel more interactable, right? And this is exactly what we want to do. Now, this experience, it can also have some movement. And we can do that adding particles and a bunch of other stuff. Over here, I have some water particles. I'm going to drag this just to our water body here. And we are going to see how particles can, wait, where am I? Wait, what? Let's go back. Okay, so let's try again. Here we can add some water to our river here. And this is really nice because it allows us to have this kind of movement. We can have a bunch of other details in our experience. So what I want to do here is just a quick waterfall. So we can basically move those stuff around. So let's have perhaps the water coming from up here, like this. And this is all done through beams and through textures. I've got this from Roblox, so I would show you guys the toolbox, but most of things like FX like this, I've gathered from toolbox to show to you guys. And it's really powerful to new people, but I will talk to you guys about it later. So here we can start to see we have like this pretty waterfall. We can perhaps place it a little better like this. And we can start to see how we can like simulate this waterfall, right? Then we can perhaps water this water splashes here in the bottom, and we can start to have some really nice effects. Again, I'm doing this really quickly to have enough time to show you guys about everything, and we can make everything invisible. That. And now we have this like really, really nice effect here. And yeah, it's basically a waterfall, and we can start to add a bunch of other stuff. Let's see, we also have this one here that we can make perhaps the river have some movement to it. So let's add it perhaps over here. So it doesn't look like a still river, right? It has some movements. Let's say something like this perhaps. And we can start, oh, wrong. And we can start to really add effects to our word, right? So this is starting to look like a real river, right? And with layering those effects, we can start to make a word feel pretty much alive. We can have like fallen like particles here, like leaves and things like that, right? And we can start to use all of that to make our word much more prettier. So now imagine the players coming through here, and we have like a waterfall here, a bunch of more waterfalls here, more water effects are around. It's starting to make things look really, really pretty, right? And this is how we are basically going to give life to a word. And speaking of giving life, I think it's time for our second live question. This one is about scripting. So I just talked to you guys about this. So if you were all paying attention, you will be able to answer this. So again, we have some minutes for everyone to answer it correctly, to do everything. The live challenge is already here on the bottom, so make sure to answer this. Also, our lovely Guarana. And by the way, this is how we get that item, right? One of the items from Inspire. Yeah, we need to answer that, and basically, people will be giving out the item after the workshops are over. So yep, just answer that. Then I think August, something like that. After the workshops is done, just wait for it, guys. You guys will receive it. Done. Don't panic. I also want the item. Should I answer my own? Nah, I'll just watch another one and answer. The item is really good, guys. I really, really like it. B, you think you guys think it's B? B is the correct one? I don't know. I see some people in B. Obvious B. You think realm? B, B. You guys are kind of smart. Do you guys think you got it correctly? I don't know. Anyway, I think this is enough time so we can keep going. We're almost at the end, so don't worry, everyone. We are almost finished here. And I want to talk to you guys about ways to also improve your workflow, right? Because all that I've done here is basically show you guys how to add things, how to the basics of scripting, how everything is done. But some of the best things about Studio is really creating your own tools and adding your own stuff and really making the studio your own. And before I talk to you guys about the toolbox, which is right here, the toolbox is where I got most of this like terrain assets, the trees that were made by Roblox, some of the plants as well. So through here, we can look for a bunch of like models that people have created and models to share amongst people. So this is really good to have like really easy stuff to start planning your experience. Also some scripting stuff. It's really nice. I will also be adding some of the assets I use to the experience to the toolbox. So shortly, you guys will also be able to have some of the stuff I have in here to use for yourselves. But what I want to point out is the plugin. Some of you guys saw me using this thing here. This is F3X. I will be talking about this further down the line. But plugins is really good to basically have easier tools for everyone, right? but also for learning. So if we go here to the toolbox and perhaps search for Expedição Roblox, you guys will find this lovely plugin here. But I think there's someone better to talk about this than me, which is Camila. Camila, please feel free to join us and talk a little bit about Expedição Roblox.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for this opportunity to share a little bit what we did to teach thousands of students from 14 to 18 how to create their own experiences inside Roblox Studio. So this was the mission that we've received some months ago. How can you teach thousands of young people to build an experience in Roblox Studio? They have an amazing teacher, as you, Jonathan, but we were trying to create something that they can learn inside their own houses when they were alone, when they have no support. So where they can start developing this experience. And that's why we come up with a plugin. So maybe we should create something that it's inside the proper tool, right? Inside Roblox Studio that can help them to develop their own skills. So we call it this Expedition Roblox. Because we were born in Brazil, but we are spreading around the world now. But this plugin is one of our main tools, learning tools that we come up. I'm going to share my screen so I can navigate with you guys just to give an example about what is possible to do inside Roblox Studio, because plugin, let me check if you were able to see my screen. Yay, yes. So when we are talking about plugins, we are able to develop our own plugins inside Roblox Studio. So maybe we should create one to teach kids and teenagers about how can we create how can we develop experiences inside Roblox Studio. That's why we're creating 3 languages, right? Portuguese, English, and Spanish, because we are going to Mexico. And to access, you just need to drop your username. So I'm putting mine here. Continue. We can get a confirmation, so you don't need to give more information or something else. And we have 2 parts. So we have the plugin part that we call tutorials. And this is a set of guided tracks. And each track builds one small thing that actually works. So every one of those things can help you understand a concept behind game development or computer science. For example, just to make it more clear for you guys, we have here, for example, something to help you create and customize parts, something that actually Jonathan was trying to teach us, right? And you have a bunch of instructions that can help you in your time to understand that maybe traffic light is a finite state machine. It's a pretty hard concept in computer science, but here we can learn these computer science concepts, but using Roblox Studio, you can learn it more easily and it's much more fun, right? So that's why we drop a lot of instructions and you are able to uh, keep going and following these instructions uh, to learn how to configure these parts. So you can select here, you can change the name, you can apply all the information. So we have some buttons that can help you. You can check and confirm if this is actually working. You can learn and deep dive inside some concept, and you can check your results. So with small steps, we can help some teenager about game developing, about computer science, for example. And from our side, just to move to build, we prefer to own name the concept afterwards, because build first and name later, it's much better and easy to make teams engaged. So this is how we do uh, our tutorials part. And we decided to come up with a second part called build. And it's a way to say the verb build, right? To build in Portuguese. So build, it's our AI, is where the AI lives here in our plugin. And we decided that maybe we can create something to help people create, right, their own games in a more easily way. So how can we interview this student, right, you guys, to help you make the decision about what you want to make? So who is your character? Where does it happen? What is the goal? What gets in the way? So you can build along along the questions and giving your answers, and you can learn to prompt as well, like using AI. But maybe the most important part of this process is to learn to specify a game. And this is a big part, right? So let me show how it works in practice. So you need just to click new game. You're gonna understand with a lot of explanation, right? You're gonna have your time to read everything. I just want to show you how it works. So we drop a question, you click continue. Another question, we need to give an answer, right? For example, before we start, how you describe yourself? You were a beginner, a gamer, a developer. I'm going to draw beginner because this is true, right? And you can keep going and answering and understanding the concepts. And I have a surprise for you, Jonathan. So I'm going to create your game with a few clicks, because I've come up with a zombie invasion game to recreate what we were showing to us just a few moments ago. So we have these steps showing here. For example, you need to clean your studio to create a map. You need to load the snowy mountain map that we were seeing. Here you can see, I'm not using a mouse here. So I've put Jonathan map inside our plugin, our build. So you were able to create right now. If you go to Expedition Roblox at the toolbox, you were able to see what Jonathan is doing here to create a zombie invasion. Just giving some information and customizing your first game. So for us, this is important because we are giving not a certificate, but we are giving the possibility to publish a game and have a stranger pressing play and helping you to create your first game. So for us, uh, I'm using water because Jonathan uh, spent a little time talking about water, and we are able to see here things coming up, right, in our game. I'm going to let me show you here. I'm not using my mouse, I don't know why, but we have an iron armor. I don't want to spend more time explaining because I'm sure you got the whole idea. I just want to keep answering these questions so I'm able to play this game right after my creation. Let me just keep going to show you our amazing game. Yeah, so let's play. Okay, let's see. Come on, Jonathan, are you surprised that in a few moments we were able to get your scenario, your own idea? And I'm using here a zombie invasion. um and I need to get my orbs. Let me get something that I'm seeing here, just to show you that that this is working. And I'm sure that this is not the best scripting, that this is not the best code, the best assets. Here I'm able to add up one orb here. But the idea for kids and for learning, right, is to help them to understand by doing, right? So with this, we are reaching thousands of kids here in Brazil, but we are spreading to Mexico as well. And I want to invite you to test and share some feedback and create your games in 5 minutes, right? And learn through Expedition Roblox plugin. So I'm dropping the mic and inviting you back, Jonathan. Let me stop sharing my screen. And I want to thank you again for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we create and the power of Roblox Studio.
Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure to have you joining me.
Yay.
Amazing. Thank you, Camila and Jonathan again, and everyone who is watching. So now let's get to some question and answers. So if you have a question, please send all your questions through the QR code that it's appearing on your screen or the link pinned in the chat. We already have some questions, so let's get started. First one is for you,
Right.
Morni. So when Morniratu selected a part, appeared on a panel on the right, like with a lot of options like rotate, move, rotate, and etc. How can I access the same panel in my Roblox Studio?
Yes, perfect. So this is one of the plugins that I was talking about. If we go again to the box here, sorry, wrong one. To the toolbox, we can search for F3X, and it's going to here in plugin, and we can download the F3X. Not sure which one it is. Make sure to look. I think it's this one. This one has more likes. But it's basically this menu here. It basically allows me to have a bunch of different basic, like rotate, resize things, everything over here with hotkeys, so I can more easily change between what I want to do with parts. So yeah, it's one of the plugins that helps me in my workflow.
Awesome, thank you. Next question is, do you think it's better to build the terrain for my game using meshes or Roblox native terrain?
I think it depends, honestly, between like how realistic you want your experience to be, and also the level of detail you want. So, as I said, I think making this kind of hills like this, it's really difficult with terrain because we have a bunch of this really sharp corners and like very interesting details. The terrain, since it's voxel based, it's not really good for it, but it's really nice to feel like a large area. So like this plane here, if I would try to do like these hills, to do these little elevations using mesh, it would take up a bunch of meshes for me to do it. And the plugin just like, sorry, the terrain just allows me to make changes like live. So if I don't like a terrain or if I don't like the color or something, I can just change it. And so, yeah, I think for large areas, I would go for terrain. For details, I would do some meshes. And yeah, I hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you. Next question is, how do you recommend to start out and learn over time? Should I play around it or should I have a clear goal I want to work towards? Maybe Camila and Jonathan both, if you want to share a bit about this.
I'm sure you can learn a lot by playing, but just to draw my 2 cents here, I feel that if you have a cool project to start, so some cool idea that you always had in your mind, and you start trying to build these and building concepts and learning by doing, I think your process is gonna be faster. And it's gonna be fun, right? So now we have a huge community here at Roblox, so a lot of help. It's a pretty cool place to learn. You can drop questions, you can share some ideas, some doubts. So you need to get advantage of the amazing community that you have around Roblox, and you have some tools like Expedition Roblox, and these kind of programs and projects that Roblox is developing to make it even faster.
Awesome. And I think it's kind of related to this question, but the next one is, what are the best plugins to helping build or game design on Roblox Studio?
Hmm.
Besides, of course, we
I
just
mean,
learned Expedition Roblox too.
yeah, I think it really depends. It's also something really cool is that you can make your own plugins. So this is something that I wanted to share, but I didn't have time in the original presentation. So I'm really glad someone asked. But we can also create our own plugins. So I have created mine, which allows me to basically, you guys see that I have like everything in those squares here. I can basically create some
um,
of
I'm not
these
sure if we
squares.
are. Oh, okay, now we are
Oh,
seeing it. Yeah.
sorry. But yeah, we can basically create like some of these have a plugin that helps me like organize everything. So it puts everything inside of folders. It creates folders for me. So everything is organized and I know exactly where everything is. So if there's some plugin or something that you really do a bunch of times, you can also create a plugin for it. Really just create whatever you still need. But for me, I think F3X and something to help me organize. So my own and organize it helps me change names. But honestly, it depends on your workflow.
Amazing, thank you. And also, do you use free models sometimes, or do you only create everything yourself, and why?
Yeah. So at this moment in time, I don't really use a bunch of free models anymore. I use them a lot when I was starting to understand like how other people would build like houses or some basic scripting. But from now on, like I got a bunch of experience, so I create my own assets. And what I like to do is to create them like very generic. So I have like planks and windows and whatnot, and I can combine them to create something completely new like this. So this is how I create most of my assets. But if you want to use free models to learn, don't worry about it. Just please be careful of what you insert. There are some scripts inside of models that might not be helpful to you, perhaps even harm your experience. So make sure that you review everything that you're adding.
Thank you. And then next question is, if you could only teach one skill to a complete beginner during their first hour in Roblox Studio, what would it be and why?
Can I start this?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Creating and moving parts around. For me, it's incredible how you can get like some parts and customize like the material, the color, and build something really cool. Like you have amazing assets at Toolbox. But the first time that I see I'm like I can build something with parts, I feel really glad like to build some stuff with these small pieces. So for me, this is the first step. What do you think?
Uh, I think for me is, I think I've said this during the presentation, but always look what is inside of your properties panel. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do in the properties panel. So for instance, the terrain water, you can change it to make it much more prettier. So whenever you click something, check properties tab to see if there's something new that you can play with and just play with it.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. And then next question, I think is for Marnie. But did you build the waterfall using particle emitters, binned objects, or custom textures with scripting?
Perfect. So this was done using beams. So let's see here. We have basically this part here, which is the start of the waterfall. Oh, sorry. Can you guys see it now? I forgot that we are moving up on. Anyway, but yeah, I have this block here, which has like the start of a beam, and this block, which is the end of the beam. So I just place them, and between them, I have this this beam basically, and it has a texture. And if I put the speed to, where's my, I can, oh, here. If I put it to 0 on both of them, you can see that it's basically this texture here, right? So it's like splashes of water. And it just has like movement that goes from one end to the other with a bunch of other stuff. But it's basically beams and here particle emitters. But those are the main stuff that you will be using for this kind of effects.
Amazing. Thank you. And then next question is for beginners opening Roblox Studio for the first time. What are the most crucial best practice to establish early on to prevent the project structure from becoming disorganized later on?
Ooh.
Any
Mm,
tips?
I think I can give tips on the 3D part. But if we can go back to my screen, sorry, Victor. But as I said, I have this like asset place here, which is a smaller version of a bigger one I have. But in here, I have like everything that I will be using uh, to build my experience. So I keep everything organized in different places. So here I have like my effects. Here I have like plants. I have like textures, complete buildings. So what I like to do is to keep everything organized in a separate experience. And whenever I need, so let's say, oh, I need a new like medieval thing here, I can just copy and paste it in here and move it around. So I think this helps me keep organized because I know where everything is. I know what I need is somewhere. I know what I have. So for 3D artists, I think this really helps me keep organized. And of course, we have the asset manager that Roblox is improving. So I'm trying to understand how it works, but I'm not entirely sure. But the asset manager will help a bunch with this. So yeah, I think for artists have an organized asset place where you can just move and change things.
Something really small, just to add something, is that you need to rename everything and give some semantic names for everything, folders, everything, because with time and building with a lot of parts, for example, yeah, you need to help yourself understand what you've done last night, you when you were already sleepy, so just a quick uh, um always remember to rename everything for something that makes sense.
Uh, Amazing. Thank you, guys. And unfortunately, we only have time for one more question. And Camila, that's for you again. I think it's important. So, what is the plugin that you use it in a screen share, and is it still available to get it? So, if people didn't understand, can you just give a quick overview again, please?
Sure. Sure. So we are developing. So we have a lot of updates and we are working on this, so that's why all the feedbacks always important. Thank you so much. And you can see here, you can just drop expedition Roblox. It's in Portuguese, right? So that's why expedition Roblox. And you can install, it's free, and you just need to drop your Roblox username and start, yeah, and start learning. So yeah, let's build together. If you have any feedback, please let us know. But it's something that we are creating every day to help people learning. Yeah. Oh, yeah, perfect. A QR code with the direct link for the plugin. Even better.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, guys. So, thank you, everyone. That was our your first hour on our Blog Studio workshop. And thank you again, Camila and Morniratu, for this incredible workshop, and everyone, of course, who is participating in Inspire 2026. So we're going to wrap up now. I hope you all had a great time. I'm sure I did. And then stay tuned for Intro to 3D modeling and building your first map. It's the next workshop happening at 9 p.m. PDT time. Hope to see you all there as well. Thank you guys again.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.